It didn't go well.
All right, we'll start again then. We're live! Hooray!
We clicked the right button!
Yes, so welcome to our regular Wednesday evening live chat. I am Skatz, as you know, and this is my lovely wife, Liz.
Hello.
Mwah, mwah. We are on a mission to make ourselves and everybody else better and happier, so thank you for joining us today. Each week we'll have a different wellness topic to talk about, and we'll also give you updates on our journey to a better life. And today is a mental health special.
Hello, Ashley.
Hello, Ashley. Good, yes, give us a wave, everyone. So get yourself comfortable, get yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to chat with Liz and Skatz. And let's do the theme. We have got a hopeful theme song ending with a ting. You see? The ting of happiness.
There we are.
And I'm going to do a pun. Prepare yourself.
Oh,
you don't
jeez.
like them. Tings can only get better.
I'm saying nothing.
Don't say anything. So, as our regular watchers know, we have a live chat box either to the right of your screen if you're on a computer or underneath if you're on other devices. And we would love to hear from you throughout the broadcast. We have Ashley live and a few others there.
Any questions or comments, or just if anything is affecting you as a result of talking about tonight, because it's quite a strong subject we're talking about tonight, I think. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll respond in the only delightful way we know how, because we are here to help. And if you're watching back afterwards, of course, you can respond in the comments below.
Yeah,
And
please do.
Yep, we'd love to hear from you. So just before we get straight into tonight's chat, give the like button a quick click. And if you haven't already, and please subscribe and click on the bell. Ding! So you can get notifications whenever we have a live broadcast or even a video or anything that comes on the channel. We'll also have one regular lifestyle blog video every week, as well as this live chat. That's the new format of the Liz and Skatz channel. We're going to tell you about other channels that are coming up soon towards the end of the video. And there's a yoga and meditation one. It's going to be just dedicated to yoga and meditation, and we'll leave a link to that below as soon as it's launched. So here we go, into the subject of the week. Are you all relaxed? Guilt and anxiety. We can put them together, but it's guilt in your case, isn't it? That's
Both. And they're
both
both
affected you for
very
a long time, haven't they?
They're hugely linked as well. You get one, you can get the other, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So they are linked together,
So
unfortunately.
they are, aren't they? So I'm going to act as like an interviewer tonight. It's going to be like you're on a psychiatrist's
Oh
couch.
my God.
And I'll be like a special guest on your own show. Imagine I'm Parkinson,
Okay.
and or who's your favourite interviewer?
Blimey.
Stephen Colbert.
Oh God, no. No, I'd be frightened to be interviewed by him, I think.
Yeah, he'd be funny all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, and I think that you need somebody serious. Maybe somebody you need somebody who knows what they're talking about. So like Stephen Fry or something.
Stephen Fry. Tonight I'll be Stephen Fry. Okay, so how are you at the moment? How do you feel?
Not brilliant. If truth be known, we're in third lockdown now, and I'm feeling guilty for not feeling well. So because there are lots of people who are worse off than I am, and I feel guilty because I am in the depths of anxiety, stress, depression. I'm back on medication again of some description, and so it's really annoying.
And you don't like to complain about anything.
No.
Because you just think you feel guilty about that, because everybody's got something to complain
Yeah,
about.
and everybody, there's so many people are worse off than I am. So many people are in hospital. Some people are dying. Some people have had people who are dying, or they can't get to a loved one who's dying right now, and it's just the whole situation is horrendous really for everybody in one way or another. So
that's it. And I think I know you better than anyone else in the world, I'm very happy to say. And it's really been difficult to watch you going through it, especially recently, because I think I know you better every day, so it gets more difficult as time goes on, and it's tough for you to hear that, because that causes you guilt that you've made me suffer, and I know that, so I feel guilty for bringing it up. It's like a snowball effect, and I know the guilt can be crippling for you. I've seen you go through it. But I think for your sake and for our listeners, we should try to exercise the demon. I know it's not going to happen in one night, but we'll talk about it.
No, I mean, it's better to talk about it, I think, than to just let it fester, because otherwise, if I leave it to fester, then it bubbles over the top, and then you get crud all over your cooker. It's not good.
And your fan especially. So I've got kind of 3 questions in a line here. I don't know, I'll ask them all together. What is guilt? When did it start for you? What's the first point you remember the guilty feeling? You can tell me about that.
Guilt is I mean, I think it's different for a lot. I think it's different for everybody. Sort of not everybody's going to have the same impressions of guilt. I think there's some of them that are really kind of prominent are parental guilt. So as soon as you become a parent, I think that you feel guilty from, about something or other before, when you even start. But it's normally the embarrassment or fear of being found out, or the fear of what other people are going to think about a situation that you put yourself into, which is normally what it is. That's what guilt is. What was the other one? When did it start?
For you, basically, what's your first memory of it? That's the same question.
I don't know. We were talking about this the other day, and I can't remember what I said.
No, I think it was
what I was worried about. But I think.
There's the thing about your dad, but maybe that wasn't the first.
No, there was. I don't want to go into the thing about my dad, that's a bit too deep and personal. But there's lots of other little ones along the way of, where I felt upset. My mum and dad split up when I was 4 years old, and I remember talking about my dad once, and my mum burst into tears, and I remember feeling bad because I made her feel bad, and so I was around about 5, maybe.
That's interesting.
4 or 5 years old was my first feeling of guilt. So it kind of went on from there, and I think it's just I wanted to make sure Mum was okay, because I was the one who was at home with her. My brother and sister were at boarding school, and at the time, from my memory anyway, and so I was at home with her, and I just wanted her to be okay, because she was my mummy, and so I was trying really hard not to make her feel. So that's where that's the other thing that comes in with guilt, which is that you try and make everybody happy. You make everybody happy first before you make yourself happy, and everybody else comes first. So all I think of first thing in the morning is what's going on for you, and what's going on for Oscar, and what's going on for the rest of the family, and I don't think of myself at all. So that's where it gets into issue. That's where you get into a problem. And then if you suffer with depression as well, like I do, then it just makes it even worse, because it just becomes compacted, and it gets bigger, exponentially.
It grows the anxiety, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you get anxious, and that's what I'm on medication for anxiety at the moment. So the anxiety levels are pretty high at the minute, which means I don't sleep, and so when I don't sleep it's worse. So of course it's like a never-ending catch-22.
And the more tired you are, the more difficult it is to cope with it.
Yeah, well, to cope with anything, actually. I think if anybody on here who's watching suffers with insomnia, I'm sure they'll be able to tell you that even the smallest little things to do are made 50 times more difficult when you're tired. And that's, again, it became very much compacted for me when I had Oscar, because I was on my own when I first had Oscar for the first 6 months or so. I mean, I had my mum, but I've then felt guilty because I was in her house and I should be in my own house with it, so again, on and on it goes. So,
It's funny, I've got a similar memory of the parental guilt that you said. Sounded exactly like your situation. My parents split up when I was fairly young, and there was one time we used to go and see my mum every fortnight. We used to get taken up to the local town, and we'd meet my mum's car there. But there was one time that I don't know, maybe a car had broken down and she couldn't make it, and of course this was the time before mobile phones, so she couldn't get in touch. So my dad, we waited at the meeting point, and he just got more and more angry, and then drove off and took us back home. and I was crying in the back of the car, and he told me to stop crying, and I felt guilty then for crying, and for loving my mother enough to be worried and upset.
Wasn't there? Yeah. Which is, yeah.
And
it happens mostly to sensitive souls, I feel, the ones who've been through trauma and like a divorce. When I had divorce, you had divorce, I had death as well. My father died when I was just before I turned 9.
Yeah.
So I don't think the trauma helps anything either. I think it exacerbates guilt, and I think what does Jack Nicholson say in Witches of Eastwick? He said death, desertion, or divorce. Those are the ones that really get to us, and I don't think it's necessarily women who become affected by that. I think it's men as well.
And the one thing, when we were talking the other day, we were talking about the early memories, and I said that the things I remember the most are the bad memories. In fact, I try as I might. Early memories of really good things, really difficult to find in my memory.
No,
it's the trauma. I remember getting lost on a beach in Torquay, and it's a really shallow? No, where it doesn't slope down very fast. So the sea goes out a long, 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 long way, and the beach was full of people, and we were right at the top end of the beach. And I went down to the sea to wash my feet, I think, in the sea, which is a silly thing to do because you walk back and you get them covered in sand. But I thought it was a good idea at the time. I got down to the sea, washed my feet, turned round, and all I saw was a complete beach full of so many people. And I tried to walk back the same way, and I couldn't find my family. So I was lost, and that was a trauma. I ended up going to the nearest sweet shop and getting looked after by someone in there until my parents had gone along every shop and found me. So, and then there was another one which was on holiday as well, in a different place. I think my dad had got something out of the boot, and then I leant in to grab a beach ball or something out of the boot, and he shot the boot down on my head because he was looking the other way. An accident, but it was a trauma, and I remember it. And and the biggest one, of course, was I fell face first into a glass cabinet, and I've still got this. Well, you're not even sure you can see it now because I've got a beard over it. But
gangster scar.
It's my gangster scar. Yeah, I used to say to people when they said, "How did you get your scar?" I said, "I'm not telling you, but you
should have seen the
other bloke." Yeah. But yeah, the other bloke was a glass cabinet, and yeah, he was damaged quite severely. Yeah. So.
Good evening, Thomas.
Hello,
Minus
Thomas.
17.
Oh wow!
Well,
minus 17 in Germany.
I cannot complain about the weather here right now, then, because that is just wow. You're in the freezer, my friend.
And Thomas came here again for the music.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear us talk. He just wants to sing.
Do you have any guilty feelings, Thomas, or any anxiety?
We do.
Yes, that's what we're talking about anyway. But you just sit back, have a cup of tea, and chat. Throw some comments in. Love to hear you speaking, and we will do the song at the end. We're going to do By the Light of the Silvery Moon tonight. Another really old. It's the oldest one that we'll have sung. Oh no, last week's Irish song was quite old. That was 19th century. This one's 1909. So yeah, we like the old songs. So any questions so far? Then put them in the chat. And so how do you? Why is it that trauma and guilt stay with you then?
You kind of get into a feedback loop almost, especially with the guilt. If nobody tells you it's okay, it's all right, then you just consider that it's not all right still. So you'll keep going round and round and round and round. So, for example, I'll be thinking that I'm not doing enough, and unless somebody says you're doing enough, it's fine, you're okay, then I'm buzzing around in my head for weeks on end, thinking I'm not doing enough, and it's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you don't tell me about it because you think, you're going to make me feel bad about it if it's something that you've not done for me or something.
Yeah, and I don't want you to have to always be sort of saying everything's all right, love, you know, because I should be able to do it myself by now. I'm a big girl. So, you know, so that's why guilt stays with you for so long. And also it's like you need to get yourself into a situation where you either, I mean, when you're doing, for example, I've worked a lot with drug and alcohol recovery people in a rehab that I used to work in, and a lot of the people there are saying, you know, the biggest thing about their addiction and the biggest problems that they've had and why they relapse again and again and again is because they feel guilty about stuff they've done whilst they were intoxicated, or while they've been gambling, or whilst they've been in their habit. And I have these issues too, because I used to drink a lot and I used to take a lot of drugs, so I feel bad about those situations as well. You know, the times when I might have pissed somebody off, excuse my language, but you know, I might have annoyed somebody, or I might have said something to somebody. Thankfully, most of the time during that time I was quite a happy person and it was okay. But you know, there are situations I've been in where, you know, somebody's not been very happy with me the next day, and sometimes so it's like I go over that over and over and over again, you know, as well.
Does it get written into your neural pathways?
It's a neural pathway thing, and unfortunately it's when you are empathic, I think, as well. If you're an empathic person, which is, for those of you who don't know, is where you feel other people's emotions. I'm the sort of person, I can walk into a room and I know if people are really enjoying themselves or if there's going to be a fight kicking off. I just know. And I think it's from years and years and years of reading people's body language, because there's been so much trauma in the family, and because there's been trauma in my life and other people, and because then you're kind of drawn to the same kind of people who've been traumatized, and so you end up, you know how people are feeling, and you get to know and read their body language, and I can tell when it's going to kick off, and I can tell, you know, when it's going to, and it's surprisingly accurate. I mean, the number of times I've done gigs in pubs and I've gone, I don't like it, this is going to kick off, and it has. The number of times I've done that, you know, it's a shame that Matt isn't here actually, because he was like, you're a spooky woman you are, because I could just tell, and he couldn't, because he wasn't empathic. So, you know,
Matt was the first husband.
Well, he was, yes. He was number
it's okay,
one.
he's fine.
he's a bit of a dude, actually. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Beardy guitarist dude.
Just wasn't the right match for us two, that was all.
No.
Yeah.
Except when you were gigging, that was.
Yeah, we were good. We did music. Yeah, as a band, it was great, you know. But
so, how do you stop the programming? How do you rewrite it? How do you stop the guilt?
Well,
is there a way?
I think because I've been right in the thick of it, when you are absolutely in the hole, when you're in the vortex, as I've been reading as well about, there's another thing, when you're in there, there's not a great deal you can do about it, really. Okay. You need somebody to help you most of the time. You might need some therapy, or you might need some medication, which is what I'm doing at the moment, although I can't go for therapy because we're in lockdown, so that's out of the question. But I'm on medication at the moment, which I take periodically. I don't take it every day, but I do take it when I need it, and it just really does seem to calm me down a bit, so it's helpful in that regard. But the only way you can do that is to kind of get out of that initial sort of, you are completely and utterly obsessed by it all. You need to get out of there first, I feel. For me, that's how it works anyway. Because I can't be therapized if I'm in the dark place.
Therapized, that's nice.
I can't. It doesn't work. No. The therapies don't work if you're really in the dark place. You need to kind of come out of the dark place with medication or with other help and support in order to be able to get out and do it. And
so is it like depression, where the only thing that anybody else can do is just listen and be?
Well, I think it's a combination of everything. For me, it is anyway. I know that there are people I don't know anybody who just feels guilt. There always is depression, anxiety, panic attacks, some other mental health issue. OCD is another thing. I've been like lining stuff up, and I've noticed my OCD is worse at the minute. So I'm lining up the baskets by the fire and things like that. So it's like I've noticed things like that I'm doing at the minute. And everything has to be tidy and everything. Mind you, that's normal for me anyway. But
just amplifies that.
Yeah, it just makes everything much, much worse. And when it isn't, I get genuinely anxious about it. And there's a feeling like I've got an elephant sitting on my chest and I can't breathe. And so it's like, yeah, you can't. So the practical things that need to be done are you just need support, and you need people to tell you you're doing enough. You are enough. You're doing enough. Because I can't hear it. I can't make those noises in my head at the moment. I'm not listening to myself at the minute. So I need other people to tell me I am enough, I'm doing enough, I'm working hard, I'm doing a really good job, and blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately. Because as an independent woman, that is abhorrent to me as well. I don't like people having to tell me that I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged catch-22 thing.
That's true, yes. Can affirmations help? They
do, and I am doing them, but I'm still in there. I'm doing them morning and night, and sometimes in the day. I had to do them the other day when we came back from the walk. I just had to go, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And I said it about 25,000 times, I think, because otherwise I would have had a panic attack. That was when, yesterday?
Yeah.
When did we go out for the walk and you said we need to be doing other things? And it was yesterday.
Yeah,
and I was
feels like days ago.
I was, every day feels like days ago at the moment.
Yeah.
Every
I just
day
laid
exactly
more work.
The same.
I just laid more work on Liz by saying, yes, we need to split the channel into two, and that means twice as much work. But I think we can get away without it being twice as much work. But it's always going to feel like twice as much to you.
I'm not in that zone at the moment. So I'm in this period of like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it?
We'll get by. It'll be fine. There we go. We'll have one of those things, let you dangle a carrot in front of you. You want the words in front of your eyes, so that it's continuously going past like that. There we go. So any other practical things that you can do?
Well, when you're kind of out of the hole, I'm not ready yet, I don't think, but I need to start doing the meditations again. Mantras really help me. I find particularly the Triambakam mantra is very helpful because it's actually a healing mantra. It's a ancient Sanskrit mantra that I learnt when I was doing yoga, and it just goes Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam, and it's a really lovely thing to say, and it just basically means that you are healed, you're healing yourself, you are an individual who is attached to the universe, and the universe will provide you with whatever healing that you need. And because I think we are spiritual beings in a human body, and I think we are the universe observing ourselves through a human nervous system. So that's my belief. And so I think there's, I'm obviously here to observe somebody being really bloody anxious and guilty and had loads of trauma. So it's like I've just got to learn how to deal with it.
I wanted to ask you about those. When you're doing one of those in Sanskrit, is it about the sounds of the words that's helping you? Yeah. Or are you hearing the meaning at the same time?
No, I'm not really. I know what the meaning is, but it's more about just the repetitiveness and the fact that it's been said by millions of billions of people for many, many years. I think that's why I wanted to take you to India, because you get there and it's like you can feel the vibration of the centuries and centuries of spirituality. And it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. And I went there, and from the moment I saw the Gangamar, or the Ganges as we call it in the West, I just burst into tears. And it was just like I could feel the energy of the place just all over the place, and it just connects you in. Doing a mantra like that clicks you into that spirituality and that way of thinking. And if you imagine, for example, all of the monks on the beach here, as they were walking through Ireland, chanting and praying, and it's not just about mantra, it's about prayer, it's about meditation, it's about saying the same words over, affirmations, it's the same principle over and over again, saying the same thing. And it just really does, and it just sort of like almost hypnotizes you, and you can only be in the moment when you're saying them, affirmations, and particularly if it's like a language that you don't understand, like Sanskrit, although I do understand the meaning roughly. There's a bit about a cucumber in there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there is really.
Just saying cucumber over and over again.
Yeah. So but if it works, hey, and so there's several. The Gayatri Mantra is a fantastic one as well. That's beautiful. That is the most powerful one. That's the oldest mantra known in Sanskrit, and that has been said for by billions of people for hundreds and thousands of years. And it's it's like you're connecting into that energy when you're saying these things. So
it's like ancient song and ancient dance. You think of how tribes dance around in these rhythmical dances, and that's where dance music comes from, isn't it? Because it's repetitive rhythms and
fire.
words.
I mean, all you have to do is think of fire and what we did around fire. We tell stories, we sing songs, we dance.
We'd hit tree trunks in a rhythm.
We eat. It's community. It's everybody doing the same thing. It's a very, very expressive way of doing things, but it's also, mantra has been proven to actually improve community. Which is why when you all sing songs together in a church, if you're singing hymns in a church or praying in a church together, it does actually increase the community bond, and the people that you're there with, you will increase your community bond, which is why church is so empowering and so popular. Because it just makes you feel like you belong, and it's
funny because we're in a Catholic country, and we're not really religious, so we don't go to the same place of worship as most of the community do. So I mean, we still feel quite a part of the community here, but there's obviously a piece of that missing.
What was I actually saying? I was told during my recovery recently that it takes 7 times for every one of hearing the opposite of things that you've been told. Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely right.
You said more like 50 to me.
It is more like 50, actually. Yeah. For every negative thing that you hear, it's there are different people have different ideas. Yeah. For every one negative thing, you need to hear something much, much, much more. You need to hear an attaboy. Or a positive affirmation of some description over and over and over again. And that's where the problem is. If you're in a negative household or a negative situation at school or a negative situation at work, or maybe all three, I mean, I know I've been in all three, then it can be very, very difficult for you to get out of that situation and the neural pathways to actually renew. Now, another thing is that mantra and meditation have been proven to improve and flatten out the ruts of your neural pathways, if you like. So, I mean, for example, you say you've got stuck in a rut, don't you? I'm stuck in a rut. I'm stuck in a rut right now. I'm stuck in a rut of my neural pathway, which says that I'm a bag of crap and that I can't do anything and that I'm never going to get anything done. So that's my rut at the moment. But if I do the meditation and I do the mantras and I listen to the mantras and I listen to the lovely lady doing lovely things when I'm going to sleep and which I'm doing at the moment, and I take the medication, I take the medication and I fast as well, because fasting actually improves your neural pathways, then you kind of come up and out of your rut, as it were. You come out of your I always think of it as a World War I trench.
Yeah.
You're in a World War I trench and you come up and you come out. You don't get shot at, but rather than it feel, you come up and out and you're breathing the fresh air and you actually can see different ways that you can do things. And I mean by that you've got different ways you can behave. So you can actually come up and out and realise that there is a different way, and you can actually find your own way, and you can break a behavioural pattern. Like addiction, for example, you can break addictions. This is why they do meditation and yoga in rehab centres now. It's so important to do that because it does help with the breaking of the addiction. They deal with things like the guilt, during the addiction process, the recovery process of addiction, they do actually say to you, you need to go and write down the wrongs that you've done to people, and then go and apologise to them if you can, and try and make amends for it. And that I'd be here for the rest of my life if I had to do that sort of thing. So I've just got to do other things. I've said I'm sorry to the people that I can, and if I wanted to find every tiny little person that I think I may have wronged, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. So I've got to just get on with trying to forgive yourself. And somebody said about guilt as well, that it's that was something I heard recently, another one, which is like I said to you the other day, I hate feeling like this. I hate feeling like this. I don't like it. It's horrible. It's hateful. I hate feeling like this. Now, if a friend came to you and said to you, I'm feeling guilty, I feel like I've let people down, I feel like I'm not doing enough, I really don't like myself right now, I think it would be better if I just went away, what would you do? Would you say to them, I hate you, bugger off? No, you wouldn't. You'd bring them in, you'd get them a cup of tea, sit them down, give them a hug, have a chat with them. That's how we should treat our mental health issues. We should treat our mental health issues like they're a separate entity, like they're a person that you care about, and that it's really, really important to do that. And I think that really did ring true for me, that the fact that I loathe my depression. I still do, and I still have to remind myself, oh, come on, it's not, don't do that, and then go back. I have to remind myself that I need to give myself some compassion, and it's not me that I need compassion for, it's the depression, which is an emotional state, which is a fact. It's not reality, but it is just a fact.
A lot of these so-called mental health problems, the way that we label them in the West now, and mental illness, were thought of by some people and some tribes as being a journey that you're going through on the way to understanding and enlightenment. So
especially with Indigenous Americans and the Aboriginal people in Australasia, they would all have thought the same kind of things. That actually, if somebody did feel like this, then they'd be taken away by the shaman from the village, not because they were a burden on the village, but because they needed extra one-to-one care, and they'd be taken away, and they'd be given all guidance and peyote and ayahuasca.
Well, they say that they're treating things with the mini doses of LSD and
magic mushrooms now.
Psilocybin.
I mean, not that I'm saying we should not be going out and doing these things. I hasten to add, we should not be without careful medical guidance. However, I'm just explaining that some of these Indigenous societies do actually use hallucinogenics in order to bring people out of themselves. It doesn't always work. I know one particular person who went to the South America and took ayahuasca and never came back. So so it has obviously different people, and you need to find the right people to do this with. So
and what the doctors are talking about now is that it's kind of microdosing, which doesn't actually get you high.
It's a bit like,
but it has to be very carefully measured, and
it's a bit like homeopathy in that respect. It's just tiny doses of things, and they're starting to get some of the scientific research that's coming out with microdosing psilocybin, for example. They're microdosing psilocybin now for cluster headaches, as well as depression, anxiety, and other kind of mental traumas like PTSD and things like that. And it's having a dramatic effect on people. And actually, the basis of MDMA, which is ecstasy, is being used for other kind of mental health issues that cause physical injuries as well, like for example, people who have early onset Parkinson's and things like that, which is a genetic disorder that is actually affected by trauma as well. So they're actually using things like that. They're testing things out so that they can actually start trying to work out how these things work. So
it's interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting stuff. Yeah.
So how can I help with someone who's feeling extreme guilt?
Well, I think if you do, it's just, it's so difficult, because when you're actually in it, you don't really know what's best for you. You don't. I think it's very important that you tell somebody who, if you've got somebody in your life who's depressed, guilty, anxious, you need to find out what it is that they're guilty about if you can. And I mean, my guilt is accumulated guilt from 46 years ago probably, and all of the guilt that went along the way in the meantime. Now some of those things I've kind of, okay, I'll forgive myself, but every now and again something will rock up and I'll be like, oh my god, like I felt bad the other week. I felt bad. Colm and Adi are friends of ours from Care Savine, and we went to see them in Italy when we were out there, and I had sorry, we've been picking our noses and things anyway.
I mean, yes, I'd been asking, how can I help someone who's feeling extreme guilt?
Yeah. I think it's different for everybody, but I think the main thing is to just keep supporting and saying and telling them that they're doing all right and they're doing a good job, and that what they're doing is enough. But if there's a specific thing from the past that they're feeling guilty about, you definitely need to be going and finding some sort of therapist to help you. So I think it's just a question of it depends on what is going on with the person at the time. I think if you like I say, if it's a big guilt thing from the past, like something that you've done, I know that there've been some sort of military personnel who've been guilty because they've killed somebody, or I mean, it doesn't have to be that bad for you to feel guilty. Let me tell you, it's quite extraordinary how it works. But I think just the support and showing affection and showing love, and if that's what the person wants. I mean, for me, it's like I need to know that the people around me still think I'm all right, because I'm not thinking that I'm all right, and that's the problem. And it's always for me about that I'm not good enough, and it's a self-esteem attacker extraordinaire. Guilt is a beauty for the king of making you feel like you're useless, and that you are all of those things that you've done wrong in the past, when in fact sometimes you need to remind yourself of all the good stuff that you've done, and that never seems to be enough. So that's the problem.
That's it.
Never seems to be enough.
No. So, any questions? Anybody else have any more questions?
Is anybody still out there? After we blanked out there for a moment. Sorry.
I think we've gained a few now.
We lost and gained a couple, I think. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. We don't know what happened. But
yes, just a freeze up.
Skatz has been having some computer issues. We thought a new computer would help, but unfortunately, no.
No, I don't know whether it's the computer or the software. But anyway,
never mind.
Anyway, if anyone's been affected by anything in the chat today, then we're here to chat. You can leave us a comment afterwards, or just send us a private message.
And talk to each other as well, because it's really important that you do. And obviously, if you are feeling extremely bad, then you need to go and see your medical practitioner and go and talk to them. Most GPs now are becoming much more aware of the fact that just throwing drugs at the problem isn't going to be the whole thing. I've had medication many times, and I'm still suffering with the effects of some of that medication even today, even though I'm not taking it. and that's affected me and a lot of other people in my life as well. So it's really, really important that we get the right medication if you are going onto medication. But the best thing that you can do is to find people who can support you properly. You know, there's a difference between somebody saying there, never mind, and there's a difference between that and and a person who will actually sit down and just hold you when you're crying, and not say a word. You know, I mean, that's really quite something. And get a dog.
Get a dog. Get a Pippity. That's the one.
Yeah, or a cat. I understand cats are quite good sometimes. I've never had a cat who's been particularly okay. The only one I had was called Oscar, and he got slug poisoned, and then I felt guilty about it.
Named your son after him.
I named my son after him. Yeah, I did, because it was a good name.
Yeah. And the most important thing you must do is to like this video and subscribe and click on the bell.
That'll do. Yeah,
because that gets rid of all the guilt, and go ting every now and then. That's got to work, hasn't it? Or sing a happy song, which is what we're going to do. A song from a time before copyright ever existed. No, that's not true. There was copyright for a long time. But
we've not practiced this together, so I don't know what
No, we've not. So, well, just join in if you can, or just
I'm not
just
singing
enjoy.
any bit of it. Or okay.
Just enjoy and relax.
I wasn't here for the briefing, ladies and gentlemen. So I didn't get to see any of that.
But I'll tell you about the new channels. We're basically splitting into three, because we want to get the niche right. It's very important that people know that they can watch one of the channels for one thing and one of the channels for another, and not be put off by the fact that we keep on doing things about Spain or whatever. So there's going to be this channel, for a start, is going to be just Wednesday nights, and then with the live chat, and we're going to make one video a week, which is all about our journey and our voyage into wellness. Yeah,
and I think the next video that comes up that isn't a live stream will be next week, probably. It won't be this week. Just so if you're looking out for one, I don't think it's going to be this week. I don't think we're going to be able to get a vlog out by the end of this week, to be honest, because we're already on Wednesday, and I think it's a bit late in the day.
Yeah, we'll have to plan these.
So let's say next week, and then we're going to try and get it out on the same day at the same time, so that you know when it's coming and you know what to expect. Because that, for me, when I'm watching other channels, is really important. I know that my favourite channels are at certain days and certain times. Ping, a video will appear, and it's great.
Yeah,
I like that routine about it. So
that will be this channel. Another channel will be yoga and meditation. It's going to be called U2 Yoga.
Yeah,
that's going to be run by Liz. Obviously, I'll be making the videos, but this will be, and that'll be great. That's for a very specific audience.
Well, the yoga and meditation channel is going to be specifically for people who feel like they are not acceptable for yoga. I often thought that myself. But we're going to be doing things like chair yoga, which I've also done one on this channel as well. We're going to be doing chair yoga and bed yoga as well. And I know how fabulous is that. And
unconscious yoga.
Unconscious yoga.
You don't have to do anything.
No, you don't. But yeah, we're going to be doing something called yoga nidra, which is where you just lie down, and you can, if you can't lie down on the floor because it's too difficult for you, you can lie down on the bed and do it. And also,
excellent, Ashley. Oh, fabulous. It's Joe as well.
Who's Joe? Joe, who are you?
Joe says, "Hey."
Hey, Joe.
We just
where you going with that gun in your head? Fabulous.
Nice one. Is it a Joe that we know? I don't know.
I'm not sure. So thank you for joining us anyway, everybody, and thank you to all the new subscribers. We're very grateful, always very, very grateful for the new subscribers. Please like and click on the bell. And unconscious yoga sounds amazing. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So please like and click on the bell, because the YouTube algorithm desires it, as do we. We're now at 360 subscribers as of today, so thank you very much to every last one of you. We are so overwhelmed by the amount of support that we've got for this channel, so thank you.
Yes, wonderful. And the third channel that's coming up is one that's going to be a Saturday morning at I think 9:30, and it's going to be all about how to emigrate to Spain from a non-EU country like the UK, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on that show. It's going to be live, and I am going to be interviewing people from Spain. I'm going to be phoning them up, and you'll see them live. Yeah. And the first one, I'll announce when the first one's going to be when I know exactly. I've got to make sure this equipment is working right and it's not going to freeze again. And that's going to be brilliant. We've got a guy from Chris from Up Sticks. We've mentioned him last week and the week before, who's helping us to emigrate and do all of the paperwork, etc. Great firm. We like him, and he's agreed to come on every 2 weeks. And other people are going to come in on the other week. So I'm going to interview some Spanish people. We may even have a Spanish phrase of the week. Lots of other little things that will be on that show. I'm really excited to become an interviewer.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing about the Spanish Breakfast Show is that it's going to be. You did say about it being for emigrating from a non-EU country, but it's going to be mostly to do with moving from the UK to Spain, because I think that the processes are different if you want to, say, for example, move from the US to Spain, or if you want to use from somewhere else. I think
it's not tremendously different. No, it's anybody that's not in the EU. It's a third.
Okay.
I don't know about the US.
I'm told it's very difficult.
But for anywhere else around the world,
to Europe, but
or maybe from the US. Yeah, maybe that's different. But for any other countries in Europe and anywhere else, it's similar. You're just classed as a third. What a third?
You're a tertiary something
country. Third.
Third
I can't remember.
Country.
I'll ask Chris when we do the first interview.
There's something. I do know the words. It's just in there somewhere, and brain isn't functioning properly. Yeah. So apologise for that.
Anyway, so that's the 3 channels.
Yeah.
Of which
so
this is one.
U2 Yoga is now up and running. So please go and subscribe, and then we'll be putting videos on there either tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah.
So the meditation videos and the yoga videos will be going on there. There's 2 new yoga videos going up on there very soon as well, that are for floor yoga. But they're quite gentle, and there'll be another chair yoga coming up next week as well, and hopefully a yoga nidra.
Brilliant. So we're going to finish with this song, By the Light of the Silvery Moon. Join in if you know the words. It's a lovely old song, and there was a film, I think, that this was in, Doris Day, which may have been called By the Light of the Silvery Moon. I don't know.
Oh, brains are racking now. Okay.
Yeah. So, thank you for watching, and we'll play out with this one. Oh, by the light of the silvery moon, I want a spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, keep us shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon.
Come on, Joe, you know the words.
By the light, but the light of the silvery moon, not the sun but the moon. I want a spoon, not croon but spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, 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 keep us shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon. One more time, everybody. By the light, not the dark, not the light of the silvery moon, not the sun but the moon. I want a spoon, not croon but spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, 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 keep us shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon, by the silvery moon, by the silvery moon, by the silvery moon, by the silvery moon.
Not sure.
Joe says, did Laurel and Hardy sing this?
I don't know.
Well, I
Possibly.
don't know. they sang, "In the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, on the trail of the lonesome pine."
Yeah.
Yes, possibly. I mean, it was written in 1909, and that was
Yeah.
the time when they were doing musical.
Good chance.
Probably in the UK. So,
Good chance.
yeah. Good.
Hey.
So, thank you for singing along, everyone. And
Brilliant.
thank you for being here. And look out for the new channels and like, subscribe, and click on the bell.
Ding!
And
We are here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT for a chat, and it'll always be about something to do with health and wellness, and how we're doing on keto and fasting, or whether it be aromatherapy or music therapy or whatever.
it will.
We're here to help, honeys.
Yes, in front of the roaring fire.
I know, isn't
and you
it
see,
great?
and it stayed roaring all the way
I know.
through.
Didn't have to load it up once.
You didn't have
It's
to load it up
fabulous.
once because it's really like
It's a
nothing
green
there.
screen. There's nothing there.
I love green screen. Anyway,
It's brilliant.
that's it for today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. We love you, and if you've not subscribed, please consider. We'd love it. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye for now. Peace and love.